Guess who got brands talking? Brandlife.co.za.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the WITEE Chatterbot show, Women in Tech Empowering Everyone. If you're new to the show, a warm welcome to you. I'm Carmen, your host, and we are coming live from the Brand Life studios in 27 boxes in the bohemian city of Melville. Now, for you guys who are joining for the first time, the show is all about empowering everyone and creating a fun show where we aim to interview a wide range of remarkable and thought-provoking guests to discover as we navigate through the constant change around us. We will explore topics from business, technology, innovation, and marketing, and give you bite-sized insights that can help you propel forward and embrace the entrepreneurial culture. So today, drum roll, we have a very cool guy in the house. We've got Tsitsi Chiumya, all the way from, I don't know, he just came back from Cape Town apparently, where it's like very cold and snowy. But we have him in the house and I'm going to tell you all about him. But welcome. How are you, Tsitsi?
I'm fine, and yourself. Thank you so much. It's cold here as well.
Yeah, it's very cold. We just had hot chocolate before we came in, but it's freezing. But listen, I have to tell you guys about Tsitsi. So he has been a force to be reckoned with throughout South Africa. He was the Mail and Guardian Young 200 list and nominated for South Africa of the Year in the Young Achiever category. And the reason I really wanted to really get him into the show is because he's not just a talented comedian, but furthermore, he is also he is also one of the guys that is one of the first Black Africans to study
Game design.
Game design. So, I mean, this is the part that really gets me excited. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I actually studied game design by mistake. So yeah.
By mistake.
Yeah, it was it was a huge mistake as well, because my dad, I wanted to do QS, I wanted to do quantity surveying at WITS. And so I was either going to do that or become a doctor. And then my dad, he figured out, he's like, oh, I know, because I like to draw in matric.
Yeah.
So he told me, I know you're not going to be happy doing like a pure engineering degree. So I'm going to enroll you for fine arts for a year, and then you can see if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then next year you can always change and do first year again, which is really remarkable.
That's a nice one.
For a person of his color growing up in the places that he's done. So to do that, and I was like, okay, cool, let me study fine arts. But then when he called the fine arts department, he got through to the game design department because someone dialed the wrong connection. And then when I got the call, it's like, yo, do you want to do an interview for game design? I was like, okay. I get there.
Wow.
It was a lady called Handi Geza, who kind of told me about the game design. I didn't think I was good enough to do it when I got there, but then they sold it really well to me. But the first day, I went to game design, I was like, okay, I'm never doing anything else again. I wasn't doing comedy at the time. I was just doing game design.
How amazing is that? Hey, that is such a cool story.
Yeah.
Like by accident land into gaming, which is by far like one of the assets of the digital universe.
Yes.
Like, so cool, man. But listen, since we've connected at the WACT event, so we both spoke at this event, and you were doing a little act there for the session there, and I was just like, oh, this guy is so cool. And since we've connected on Facebook, I just see like this digital universe lighting up with all the events that you're hosting and attending and doing. So tell me a little bit more about what's going on there.
Yeah, so I do a lot of weird things, and I like to call them weird because I don't have any category where I can put them in one space. So I could be doing like a tech thing, and then I'm doing comedy every single night. So it's like a whole mixture of all these things. And I think you said to me earlier, it's like it's really I'm comfortable talking to people and talking about technology stuff, and a lot of people are not comfortable in the tech space, and if they find someone who's really like inviting for them to speak to and cool enough to speak to, because I'm a very easygoing person to speak to as well, so people kind of feel comfortable with me because I can teach them about things that they don't know in a way that they understand, and they're more likely to get, because a lot of tech people are like, they speak in like jargon, and so
geek talk. I know, it's the battle of my life. I promise you, I don't understand it.
So and I do comedy, and I hate saying like and I do comedy or and I do
It's
tech.
integrated.
Yeah, it's for me. It's like it's just who I am, because I mean, if I don't express both those avenues in my life, I don't feel like I'm complete.
yeah.
You know, so because I have to play games, I have to go on stage and do all these things, because and games also offer a very interesting thing, because it's the only thing that you can do in life that you are totally relaxed and focused at the same time. So yeah, so when you're playing games, you have to kind of focus and also you relax and stuff.
So do you play games like so you design games?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you also need to play them and experiment with them and
Yeah.
steal from other user experiences and try and integrate it into yours. Like,
Yeah.
what's the deal there?
So I don't play as many games as I used to,
Yeah.
because I don't know, like, have you ever felt like people who make movies, when you watch a game, it becomes work, or when you play a game,
Yes.
it becomes work, because you always kind of trying to
And
figure out
that mindset.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're trying to figure out what these people were doing and stuff like that. But what I do when I make games, when I make games, is I kind of chase feelings. So that's why I try and do things as much as I can to know as many feelings as I can. So when I start making a game, the biggest thing when we design it is, what feeling do you want people to get when they play this game? Because
I love that.
that's the only thing that anyone can attach themselves into. Like, even if it's a business game, if it's a corporate game, it's an educational game, someone needs to feel something when they play the game. And if your game does not have feeling, then it's not gonna last for very long, or the player's not gonna be engaged in the game for very long. And and the same thing with comedy. And I was talking to someone in America, and they were saying exactly the same things that it takes into making games is exactly this, or designing games rather, is exactly the same thing. It's the same mechanics that you have to use to design a good joke, because you have to bring people into this world and then teach them about this world that you're bringing them into, because most of the time when we speak on stage, we speak about our own experiences. So you have to tell the
Love
people
that.
how you think, and then after that you challenge them on the fact that on how you taught them how you think. So you'll be like, I'm a very nice guy, and then you'll be like, okay.
Charismatic maven, yeah?
Yeah, charismatic maven. So you say something like that, and then and then the funny bit would be if you say you did something mean, like so a little girl came up to me and asked for food, and I was like, go away. But people laugh because you already said you're a nice guy, but like you are telling them the characteristics of something that's not a nice guy. So they laugh because of the context that you've given them
interesting.
in the joke or in the game. So even in any
You're programming people's minds.
yeah. So even in
I love that.
any game, anything that you've ever played in your life, the first couple of levels or the first couple of minutes when you're playing that thing, the game designer is teaching you how to play the game.
Yes, correct.
In Mario, they're teaching you how to jump, how to move forward, how to do all these things, and then they start challenging you on all the stuff that they've taught you to do already. So that's how it works, and I think they complement each other, which is something I really love.
And you know what I love about, recently we had Alfred Adrian on the show, and by the way, he had me in stitches. I just by chance saw that your universes connect and that you dent the universes together as well. But what a cool lad. But one thing we discussed at a point was, which I found very interesting, is that it's not the funniest guy in the room that will survive. It is the guy that has the ability to do business and really have a shrewd, mindful business, and it's the funny, that's the business of funny, like if you can put it that way. And I think one thing that I think that you guys have in similarity is the fact that you come out of a business world. So whether it's gaming or marketing or whatever it is, and then you find that those experiences complement your acts. And you find it incorporated in what you do. And that also you've got the savvy on that side. So do you feel that your way that you engage with your audiences and your acts is contributed because you're in gaming?
I think in any industry, like, it's important for people to take you seriously.
Yes,
and
for sure.
I think like I'm a clown, like, and I'm very like thankful for certain things. But I still, when it's business time, it's always business time. Even though we don't do it in the traditional sense, but when it's business time, it's business time. And I think that's what Alfred Adrian is allowed to for his order to be around. Like he's a very like serious businessman. So people always say, "Oh, Adrian is doing his thing," and when they say you're doing your thing, that means you're working hard.
I've seen that you are too.
So that's what you need to do. You need people to take you seriously. When you say you're doing a show, people shouldn't say congratulations on the fact that you got a show. They should look at the results of that show and say, okay, cool, you've done well, you've done really well. And I think, I mean, around anything that you do, there needs to be hype. And a lot of business-minded comedians are good at creating hype around their things. Like big guys like Trevor, they don't need to do that anymore. Like he sold out 2 nights. It's 2 nights for the Nationwide. I was part of that. He sold it out all on one Facebook post. So
oh my goodness!
So that's very serious. So
Oh
that's a very serious guy, right?
really?
There. And he's still a comedian. He's still a funny guy, but he does everything business. So, and that's what we're trying to establish as
Love
younger
it.
guys in the comedy scene. I mean, Adrian's one is already a lot more established than mine, but I'm trying as hard as I can to create enough hype around me that even people that don't know are interested or curious enough to buy a ticket to come to the show and watch the show and decide whether they'll become a follower or not. But
Love
at
it.
least for that show, I've gotten enough hype to fill it out, And even the Cape Town shows were sold out based on the hype, because I used to be a tech presenter on Expresso on SABC3.
Oh yeah.
And that's how like I kind of got like a lot of people, some people in Cape Town, but I hadn't been in Cape Town for like 6 months, and out of sight, out of mind. And so when I went back, I needed to create the hype again and make sure that people, they carry on following the hype of who I am. And people know me as a tech guy. A lot of people know me as a game designer, and they don't know me as a comedian. And whenever I tell them, yo, I also do comedy, and they're like, oh, you also do comedy. Oh, it's like, oh, are you trying it out? And I'm like, no, I think I'm good.
Good for you. Awesome.
So yeah. So that's how I think it happens in that space,
I think it's genius, and you and I were talking about the Get the Tickets.
Oh yes.
Please tell our audience about what you did there. I think it's genius.
So me and my best friend Emilio, we have this show, How We Got These Suits, which is also another thing that like is kind of interesting, because a lot of names names for things are always like they tell you the story in the name. So they'll be like poor people, like the show is going to be about poor people, so someone who doesn't really want to know about poor people is not going to go. So now we had this name, it's like, oh, what would be an interesting name? We're like, okay, How We Got These Suits, because then people want to know, some people want to find out, okay, that's cool, how did these like 24-year-olds get suits or whatever. And the story is not even about, like, the show, most of it is not even about the suits. It's about like how we grew up to the point where we can actually afford suits. So it's like a whole backstory of all these things that happen in our lives and all these things that happen in our parents' lives to the point where we can afford suits. So I guess that's a small little point of how to get people interested in how we did this.
And the storytelling behind it, and how you paint that whole picture and build the hype and get people like, oh my God, what is this all about? Like, love it.
So then the Get the Ticket movement happened. So we started doing this thing where I post like these little memes that I make, where I just like have a scenario. Let's say like a kid is crying in a picture, then the caption will be like, why are you crying? All you needed to do was just get the ticket. And then I just started posting, like every day I'd post. I'd be like, I was climbing Lion's Head, and I'll be like, yo, I'm doing this so that I can get the ticket. Why can't you go get the ticket? And then I go to the top of Lion's Head and I was shouting, because there's one point, there's Sea Point, and there's Clifton on the other side. So I shouted onto the top, like, yo, Clifton, get the tickets tomorrow. And then, like, they don't hear, but the people on my social media, they kind of get interested in the movement. So I started doing that, and people were and people started like messaging me asking, yo, man, what's the ticket about? What ticket are you talking about? And then I'd send them links to get the ticket, and people got the ticket. The show was sold out. Thank you guys for coming out in Cape Town. We're gonna have another one in Joburg, so yeah, you better
You
get the
must
ticket.
keep us posted. I mean, I will
Yeah.
also post it on our side,
Yeah.
on Booyah, so we can get it out
Oh,
there.
thank you.
That would be awesome. You know,
Yeah.
I love what you are up to. So we just have to go for a quick ad break, and then
Okay.
we're gonna get back and we're gonna
Yeah,
get
pay the
into the
bills.
juice of building a game. Okay, cool.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Brand Live.
No doubt. The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
This one's explosive.
Brandlive.co.za.
Lunatic, 'cause I do what I want, and I get what I want when I want it. You know life can be so ordinary. Boy meets girl, they said, "Oh, make a baby."
Brandlive.co.za.
Okay.
Good day. You are tuned into the WITEE Chatterbot show, Women in Tech Empowering Everyone, and we're sitting here with the Tsitsi Chiumya,
Yay.
comedian and tech fundi and
Yay.
gamifying warrior. I don't know.
Yo.
What? Oh, I would say a charismatic maven. I think you
charisma-
are. I just think
yeah.
with a thumbs up, like always smiling. Anyway, let's not stroke the ego too
Yes.
much. Okay, so very quickly, I did a bit of research. By the way, for you just tuned in, we're talking about gaming.
Yeah.
You recently did some research about the communities built around
Yes.
gaming, and I think you did a thesis on it. Could you
Yes.
maybe take us through the findings and what is your observations on that?
Yeah, so basically the thesis was about how games are used in different communities, in rural communities, focusing on that, because especially because rural communities are bare minimum of what we have.
Yeah.
So if we could take away all the extras of this community, Johannesburg, let's take Johannesburg, we took all the extras out, it will just be a rural community with the core aspects of what they need. And games actually, it connects the community, because that's a place where people can create, can innovate in one space. So all the children, for the children especially, it's very, very important, because that's their social life. And the parents, they figure out that for the children, playing is very important, even for the parents, because they don't realize it themselves that they do a lot of games, they do a lot of things that are like that use game
set the
mechanics.
rules and- yes.
You set the rules in the house. That's a game. That's a game element. You
Yes.
do all these things. You set the rules between your friends. There's guy codes and all that stuff. All those stuff is like using mechanics that are used in games. And what I wanted to find out is what these people use these games for, and they use them to come together as a community, because
Wow.
these are perfect icebreakers between people. Like, I mean, if I went to like a friend of mine's party and they were playing FIFA, and I don't know everyone else, the only thing that I know how to communicate with is the FIFA that I want to play. And if I start playing, because of the play style that I have, then people will start being like, okay, cool, this guy is good, or this guy is not that good, or this guy plays like this. And then you find out a lot of things around it. I mean, obviously, like, I'm paraphrasing the thesis, but it's very important.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
pe-
a thesis is a thesis. I mean, you can't take us
I
in
don't
a
wanna be-
20-minute show into a thesis.
Yeah, so that's what I found out. And all these, even other, and empathy, like, it creates empathy within the community, because that's what the people want. And the games that have the most empathetic uses for the people in the community are going to be the most popular games in that community. So, like, for people who are very, like, education inclined, like, especially like in Europe and all that stuff, they play a lot more Scrabble because they know a lot more English. So then if you go to like like rural
Interesting.
areas. If you go to rural areas, they play a lot more Murabaraba because these guys are really smart at are really good at planning. And Murabaraba takes that kind of thing because
love
when you're
that.
poor, you have to be good at planning because you can't
Exactly. Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't use the money or whatever you have. All the resources need to be well planned out for. And yeah, that's the.
That is such an interesting insight. I love that. I must actually do a little bit of research, or maybe I can tap into your mind. But listen, that is interesting. But another thing I wanted to ask you is,
Yeah.
where's the future of gaming going?
Of game design in this country, I think it's going to be one of the best industries in the world. Our industry is going to grow to a point where it's going to be one of the best in the world, and I'm talking about even
love
I think
that.
even our comedy industry it's so, like Kagiso Lidege said this to us on a comedy con at the Goliath. He said that South Africa is far away from the world, in terms of like physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And that's both a good and a bad thing because we have like the most interesting perspective on things. It's like our game, our insides on games are so different. Like we have like all these influences from like rural areas, from all these things, because all these things they create the same kind of game. Like I know a game called Chicago that people play in the townships, and that game has the same mechanics that you'd find in a Minecraft. They use the same elements.
How
That they
amazing.
use all those things, and those we have access to those kind of environments. Whereas the rest of the world, their influences are also Western. So we have like a Western, we have Western culture, we have Eastern, we have all these kind of cultures within one country, that when we figure out how to put all those things into like a couple of games or a couple of comedy shows or a couple of whatevers, it's gonna be the best. South Africa is the best place
I
to
love
be.
it.
If you think in a worldly mentality and you're from South Africa, you're gonna be the best. Because I always say I want to make games, I want to make comedy that's made from a South African perspective,
Absolutely.
but
'cause-
not necessarily South African. So people should be able to access it from other countries, other worlds, but it should be like authentically South African. They should be like, this is how South African people think.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are, black,
Yeah.
white, whatever. I'm black, so I'll probably speak from a black perspective. I hope, like, I wish, I want to speak from that perspective because, you know, if you don't, then people will call you other, they wouldn't do
up.
this to you. Yeah.
No, but you know what? I love what you're saying because if you I've traveled quite a bit across the globe,
Yeah.
talking at conferences and so forth, and people are fascinated by Africa and fascinated about how we use technology and mobile and all of these
Yeah.
things based on African problems. Like the USSD has been a lifesaver. Gamification on a USSD,
Yes.
the stuff that you can do on that is
Yeah.
unbelievable. And we just find ways to solve African problems.
Yes.
Which is very unique, a unique mentality. And I think if you also look at India, you see the same type of trends happening there
Yes.
in the emerging markets. So it's
Yeah.
very cool to have a representative like yourself
Yeah. Thank you.
to go out there and be the evangelist of Africa.
Evangelist.
And another quick thing that I would like to pick your brain on, the art of developing
Yes.
a good game.
Yeah.
What would you say that is?
I think empathy and feeling. If your game, your product, or your anything,
Yes.
like, and I always say this because it's life. Like, if your game fulfills a need that's there already, or like is empathetic towards a specific type of people, or is empathetic towards the player rather,
Yeah.
then it's going to be a good game. Then you're already halfway there, and then the rest of the thing is making sure that the game doesn't have bugs, it doesn't like fail or anything.
And
It's
taste.
test. I worked as a tester for a very long time while I was in university. I know it's not nice, but it pays a little bit of the bills.
Oh, well, that helps. But I also think it's also so important, with the roadmap of creating a game, is also to look at the structure, the story you want to tell, the
Yes.
characters, the rules, the levels, rewards. Also, I think, I don't know if you would agree with me, but I do think in gaming that gaming has the ability to really solve problems.
Yes.
Because you're meeting people on their level. and then you're taking, as you said, with your comedy.
Yeah.
Like you meet at the same level,
Yeah.
and then you start educating them to take them to where you want them to go.
Yes.
And drive that behavior that you're looking for. So you're programming them to
think a
think
certain way.
differently.
Yeah.
Yes.
To think a certain way. Or you're motivating them to think a certain way.
Yes.
So in the game, like in any game, let's say you're trying to make a game to solve a specific need for children to do something. You reward behavior that's good, and you don't reward. So it's like conditioning in the psychology sense.
Yes.
So you would like reward behavior that is good, is that you want to promote, and you wouldn't reward behavior that's not that you don't want in the game. So
Yes.
that's how you kind of motivate people to think a certain way, because some people will challenge it, but you ensure that even in the challenge there's still enough fun. So you don't just like make a game where you like, if you choose right you die, if you choose left you
Yeah.
right, because then that's like dictatorship.
Sounds like Tinder, man.
That is
There's an-
deep.
Oh, swipe to the left and swipe to the right. Yes, no, instant gratification.
Yes.
I found my mate compatible. But very interesting enough for me is also research. I think research plays also such an important role, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people neglect it, probably because they don't have budget. But
No.
there's surely a lot of guerrilla techniques that you can go and use to try and obtain insights.
I don't think that like you require. Of course, you require a lot of money to do research that is going into university or something. But there's so much research that people can do on a personal level that is free. Like you can talk to people. You can, let's say you have a theory about certain people or whatever. You can just go and talk to like 17 of those people in a day, and you can have like a kind of like a hypothesis for at least the area that you were in that day. And I think it costs a lot to do research. Yes, it does. It does cost a lot. It costs a lot to go to university, but it doesn't cost much to learn. And a lot of people like they underestimate how much they can do with learning. There's so many people that are doing so well without educational backgrounds. And I'm not. I always tell people to make video games. You don't need university. All you need to do. You don't need to go to university. You don't need an education. You don't need. All you need is curiosity. Go into the internet. All this information that we know is on the internet.
Yeah, so it's kind of you simulate, innovate, and
Yeah.
elevate. So you learn from other people's mistakes or failures
Yes.
or whatever, and you bring it all together
Yeah.
and you compose it.
Yeah.
Steal a bit here, steal a bit there,
Yeah,
borrow here.
Well, yeah, I don't know about steal, but
Borrow,
definitely borrow. Like for the first couple of months when we started making games, all we did was make other people's games and see how well we can do it. Because they always say to us, the best way to make games is to make games. It's the best way to learn how to make games is to make games. So people like will talk about, oh, this is the way to make a best game. No, make a game and then you'll see how it works. That's all it takes. Or like, if best way to do comedy is to do comedy. So
Exactly. I think that for all the corporates out there, if you want somebody to gamify your audience and program them to like your brands more, bring Tsitsi on board. I'm sure that he'll be able to convert them in the room. But listen, I've had such a fun show with you. I'm sad that it's come to an end. But in tradition,
okay.
we have a 60-second game.
Aight.
1 minute.
Okay.
No right answer, no wrong answer. You just say what comes to mind.
All right.
Okay. And 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
What would you do if you find a penguin in the freezer?
I would cry
Why is a tennis ball fuzzy?
because it takes so much beating.
I love that. If you could have a machine that produce 100 Rand notes for life, how much will you be willing to pay for it?
Nothing.
Which fictional character would be the most boring to meet in real life?
Postman Pat.
What's the worst commercial you've recently seen? Why is it so bad?
The Omo commercial, because Omo doesn't work.
If you could know absolutely truth from anyone, what question would you ask them?
OJ.
What really happened?
What really
Put
happened?
down there. Game as a group, no tech, or tech as an individual?
Game as a group, no tech.
Okay. What is the most useless talent you have?
Backflips.
Oh, well done. You've done 8
nice.
out of 10. Well done. Well, now we can quickly ask you, would you
Okay.
rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future or 10 minutes into the future of anyone but yourself?
10 minutes into the future of anyone but myself.
Okay, would you rather be able to control fire or water?
Eesh. Water.
I would say water because
and
of
then I'll
Cape
move
Town.
to Cape Town.
Oh my goodness. Listen, this was so much fun. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
joining
much
us,
for having
Tsitsi.
me.
But please keep in touch.
Yes.
We would like to thank Brand Live Radio for the innovative container studio and for making this show possible and listening to our shows on www.brandlive.co.za. You can also find our shows on either Castbox or iTunes or Google Play when you search for Booyah by Carmen Murray. Please rate our show to help others find it. Thank you to Gold Studios who manages our shows on iTunes, Gold Play and Castbox. Don't forget to tune in next week, same time, same place. Arrivederci, ciao!
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za